Episode 701. The dual-blade two-strike style is practically the bane of parry techniques, yet when it comes to executing a parry, it also holds a unique advantage. At this moment, Ye Shu exploited exactly that, triggering two separate judgments on the Blood Shadow Wild Blade. The first strike knocked his weapon aside, but the second finally managed to parry, though his judgment still wasn't strong enough to fully block the attack. The blade of Blood Shadow Wild Blade still swept through, but after Lord Grimm's parry, he used the force of the strike to launch himself backward. This single leap, and the relentless chain of attacks that came roaring in, Lord Grimm dodged them all. In truth, if he truly wanted to block Blood Shadow Wild Blade, Ye Shu could have simply used the Blade Master skill block. The effect would have been far superior to the parry he executed manually. But right now, Ye Shu needed that incomplete parry effect. If he had used block instead, the knockback from Blood Shadow Wild Blade would have been largely neutralized. By parrying himself, he used the knockback effect to pull off a high-speed repositioning, dodging a whole string of attacks in one go. After landing, Lord Grimm rolled once on the ground, and in that instant he was already out of Chen Guo's Chasing Haze soul vision range. The soul sight couldn't be changed, and Chen Guo couldn't see from her own position, so she had to go over to Ye Shu's screen. Predictably, the rapid screen flicker from this high-speed operation made Chen Guo dizzy. She could see the flashes of various attacks flickering across Ye Shu's screen, and Lord Grimm was like a commando weaving through artillery fire, dodging in all sorts of astonishing ways. His health was still chipping away from all the friction, parrying that Blood Shadow Frenzy, for instance. Even with a block skill, under this level of suppression, there was no way to negate all the damage. And that was just a basic attack parry. But more alarming than his health was Lord Grimm's stamina bar, plummeting like a stone. Stamina wasn't just consumed by sprinting, walking, jumping, rolling, even a basic attack. Every fundamental action could be enhanced by burning stamina. Lord Grimm's stamina was dropping so fast, clearly he'd been relying on enhanced versions of every basic action just to stay alive this long. But what happens when their stamina runs out? Chen Guo was frantic, but there was nothing she could do to help. She couldn't even stand watching Ye Shu's screen anymore. She turned back to her own screen and watched as player after player kept popping out of view, their perspectives all aimed toward the direction where Lord Grimm had vanished.
Which guild is it this time?
Chen Guo scanned the names of the characters entering her field of view, but none of them bore a guild tag. Whether they genuinely had none, or had simply hidden it, she couldn't tell.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ye Shu counted silently as he moved, with no time to spare for Lord Grimm to glance around and identify his opponents. He could only gauge their numbers by the skills he managed to dodge in succession. 15. In the blink of an eye, he'd silently counted to 15, and that was the most conservative estimate. The basis for his judgment was simple. Lord Grimm had now dodged attack skills from 15 different classes. That meant at least 15 characters were ganging up on him. This was a premeditated ambush. Ye Shu knew it well. The moment he logged in, he'd noticed the scorched marks on the ground, residual traces of an elementalist's fire spells, not yet refreshed by the system. That meant the attack had only just passed. Players around, people around. Of course Ye Shu was on alert. He spun around in a quick scan and immediately spotted more skill marks beyond that scorch mark, more than one person. By that moment, Ye Shu had already figured it out. The skill marks he saw had a certain pattern to them, and he immediately tried to break out of their range. He could have made it, but unfortunately, Chen Guo didn't manage to dodge in time. The enemy's intentions were clear, but Ye Shu had no time to dwell on who they were. A series of explosions rang out as a launcher stinger shell just barely missed Lord Grimm, erupting into a sea of flames behind him. Even with the enhanced stamina-draining version of his movements, he still couldn't shake their pursuit. They were predicting his every move, with someone always launching a preemptive attack. After that initial wave, they never once tried to focus fire and blast their target to bits. Instead, they wove together a relentless chain of attacks, aiming to wear Lord Grimm down slowly, exactly the same tactic Yi Shu had used to command Zan Roland's crew against Sun Xiang. He never expected that the very tactic he just used would be turned right back on him. Fortunately, these players lacked the skill and coordination of Zan Roland's crew, and Ye Shu's experience far surpassed Sun Shang's. Through a series of deft maneuvers that avoided the heaviest blows, Ye Shu managed to keep Lord Grimm alive through the cracks of an even larger encirclement, but this was no long-term solution. Dodging that many attacks was a massive drain on his focus on Lord Grimm's health and stamina. At just level 54, Yi Shu couldn't fully disengage. If he kept this up, death was only a matter of time. The battle on Yi Shu's screen was a blur to Chen Guo, but the stats panel she could read clearly enough. Lord Grimm's health was bleeding faster than it could recover. This meant that all Yi Shu had managed to do was keep Lord Grimm alive longer than chasing Haze. But whether he could actually escape this way was still up in the air.
What do I do?
Chen Guo was frantic. Whether she revived and rushed back or called for backup, neither would make it in time. Everything now depended on Ye Shu alone. On any other day, Yi Shu's lazy, indifferent attitude would have Chen Guo grinding her teeth in frustration. But right now, she would have given anything to see that expression on his face. She didn't. At this moment, Ye Shu's face held only focus. The sound of his hands pounding the keyboard came in a storm-like barrage, relentless and rapid. The visuals alone made Chen Guo dizzy, and now the noise grated on her nerves, leaving her restless and irritable. At the very least, I should do something. Chen Guo thought about it, revived chasing Haze, and sprinted from the town in this direction. She didn't know if she could make it in time, or what help she could offer even if she did. She just didn't want to sit there anymore, useless, watching from the sidelines. Chen Guo sprinted, her eyes flicking between Lord Grimm's coordinates and his health bar. Ye Shu was still fighting, still holding on. Chen Guo wished she could teleport over, even if only to let chasing Haze take one hit for him. Suddenly, Chen Guo realized the noise around her had died down. Ye Shu's relentless stream of keystrokes had stopped. Chen Guo's heart jolted. He whipped his head around, but the screen was still alive with color. Lord Grimm wasn't dead. He was leaning against a moss-covered stone wall.
Ah! He got away?
Chen Guo had just exclaimed with delight when Lord Grimm suddenly lunged forward again. From the corner of her view, she could faintly see the reflected light of some attack effect behind him. Someone had struck at the spot he'd just dodged, but he'd evaded it once more.
Not yet.